Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday. It's January 23, 2021. And it's weekend. We get to have this opportunity again to be able to celebrate life and celebrate the goodness of life. There's a lot of things to appreciate about in this life and in this world, in our journey each day. Now keep on, we work and work and work and work each day, but we still have to find time for rest and for leisure. Today our reading is Proverbs 23 and Joshua chapter 21 to 25. And this morning I'd like to talk about um, what God has done, because we're going to close the book of Joshua today. And tomorrow we'll begin to work with the book of Judges. And our topic for today is all about conquered as promised. Conquered as promised. You know, God is always able. God is able and always able. Nothing, nothing is too difficult for God. Nothing is impossible for Him. God is also faithful. It is impossible for Him to lie. Whatever He declares, He will do, because it is also impossible for Him um, to oppose His nature. And so, because God, it is impossible for God to lie. Whatever it is that He declares, He is bound to fulfill it. But then one good thing with God is because He has all the resource and the capacity to fulfill a promise. Of course, the timeline, the timeline for the fulfillment of a promise might be different from person to person or community to community. But God will make sure that whatever He promised, He will fulfill. Because like what I have said, God has also have the luxury of time at His disposal. Now, He might not be able to fulfill a promise given to you this year or next year, but He will fulfill that. It might take a decade, but God will make sure He will fulfill that. We just have to, keep on relying, keep on trusting that God indeed will do what He has declared He would do. And in life, it's great to hear a promise, but then it is greater to see and to experience the promise fulfilled. And that is what we will be learning today from the book of Joshua. The Lord fulfilled His promise. And listen to this. Joshua chapter 21, verse 43 to 45. So the Lord gave to Israel all the land He had sworn to give their ancestors, and they took possessions of it and settled there. And the Lord gave them rest on every side, just as He had solemnly promised their ancestors. None of their enemies could stand against them, for the Lord helped them conquer all their enemies. Not a single one of the Lord's good promises, or not a single one of all the good promises the Lord had given to the family of Israel, was left unfulfilled. Everything He had spoken came true. When God says He will do something, He will do it, because again, He is able. Not like us. Sometimes we say we're going to do something, but then sometimes our words does not achieve the purpose for which we have spoken it, because at times our capacity to fulfill a promise is not the same as God, but we strive each day. But then as far as God is concerned, he would always say, my words shall not return to me void. It will achieve the purpose for which I have declared it. And the Lord has declared um, that He would help Israel to arrive to a land of promise, to a land that flows with milk and honey. And God fulfilled that. Joshua said, not a single one of the good promises the Lord had given to the family of Israel was left unfulfilled. Everything he had spoken came true. But then, of course, blessed are those who wait, those who waited. Because you know how long? It took them 40 years. 40 years before the Lord's promise was fulfilled. And so, if you cannot wait that long, well, that's a problem. You'll die in the wilderness, not experiencing the promise of the Lord fulfilled. But good for Joshua and Caleb because they heard the Lord declared the promise, and then they were still alive when the promise was fulfilled. Awesome. It's wonderful. You know, for Abraham, it took Abraham 25 years of waiting before he received the promise. He was already 75 years old when the Lord made a promise. Hey, Abraham, I will make you a father of multitudes. Your children will be as many as the stars in the sky and as many as the sand on the seashore. That's how many. I will give you a great name. I will make you into a great nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through you. And then he was already 75. And Isaac was born when he was 100, and Sarah was 90. But then again, whether 25 years or 5 years or 2 years, you know, the Lord fulfills his promise. He promised that he would help the Israelites conquer the promised land, possess the promised land, claim the promised land. And he did it. Not a single, not a single uh, words that the Lord has spoken, not a single did not come true. Everything came true. And so let's hear this. Joshua chapter 22, verse 1 to 6. Then Joshua called together the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh. And he told them, "You have done as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, and you have obeyed every order I have given you. During all this time, you have not deserted the other tribes. You have been careful to obey the commands of the Lord your God right up to the present day. And now the Lord your God has given the other tribes rest as he promised them. So go back home to the land that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you as your possession on the east side of the Jordan River. But be very careful to obey all the commands and instructions that Moses gave you. Love the Lord your God, walk in all his ways, obey his command, hold firmly to him, and serve him with all your heart and all your soul." And so Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went home. What will you do after the Lord has fulfilled his promise? We'll just, yeah, the Lord has already fulfilled his promise, so I'll just celebrate life and celebrate the goodness of life, and it's okay for me not to obey him anymore. It's okay for me not to labor and toil anymore. But of course, every day we work because of our faith. We labor because of our love. We endure because of our hope. And that's every day until we die. And so Joshua told them, "Hey, guys, the Lord has fulfilled what he has promised you. Now you return. But then be very careful. Continue to live the life that the Lord would want you to live, even if you already receive all that he has promised you." Joshua chapter 23, verse 1 to 5, he said, this is his actually final words to Israel. He said, "The years passed, the Lord had given the people of Israel rest from all their enemies. Joshua, who was now very old, called together all the elders, leaders, judges, and officers of Israel, and he said to them, I am now a very old man. You have seen everything the Lord your God has done for you during my lifetime. The Lord your God has fought for you against your enemies. I have allotted to you as your homeland all the land and the nations yet unconquered, as well as the land of those we have already conquered. From the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea in the west, this land will be yours, for the Lord your God will himself drive out all the people living there now. You will take possession of their land, just as the Lord your God has promised you. So, be very careful to follow everything Moses wrote in the book of instruction. Do not deviate from it, turning either to the right or to the left. Make sure you do not associate with the other people still remaining in the land. Do not even mention the names of their gods, much less swear by them or serve them or worship them. Rather, cling tightly to the Lord your God, as you have done until now. For the Lord has driven out great and powerful nations for you, and no one has yet been able to defeat you. Each one of you will put to flight 1,000 of the enemies, for the Lord your God fights for you, just as he promised. So be very careful to love the Lord your God. No, keep on loving him. Joshua said, you have seen how the Lord fought your battles. You have seen how the Lord possessed the land. You have seen how the Lord carried you like he's carrying you in an eagle's wings, in his powerful wings. So you have seen that. You have experienced that. How the Lord afforded you with deliverance, how the Lord empowered you so that you'll defeat your enemies. It was not even actually you, but it was the Lord who fought for you, who fought your battles, that you became successful. And so, um, before Joshua, died, he like renewed a covenant with the Israelites. And I just would like to read all of this morning. Um, Joshua chapter 24, verse 1 to 9 and 10 to 18. Then Joshua summoned all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, including their elders, leaders, judges, and officers. So they came and presented themselves to God. And Joshua said to the people, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says. Long ago, your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abraham, and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates River, and they worshipped other gods. But I took your ancestors, Abraham, from the land beyond the Euphrates and led him into the land of Canaan. I gave him many descendants through his son Isaac. To Isaac I gave Jacob and Esau. To Esau I gave the mountain of Seir, while Jacob and his children went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron. No, this is just a reminder. It's just a narrative, narrating the story of how it all started. Likewise with life, sometimes um, where we are now, it's nice also to go back, go back and where it all started. Like our journey with God, where did it all started? Our awareness, our moment of clarity, our spiritual awakening, where did it all started? This relationship that we have with him, where did it all started? No, it's nice now we have like a point in history. Now we can look back, and so that we can begin to count the blessings of the Lord. No, it's nice to count God's blessings. Like for them, they'd say, "Oh no, our great granddaddy Abraham, he was um, without a son, and he was already old. But then one day the Lord came and spoke to him. So they'll have a point in history to remember, reminisce. Likewise with us. And so again, um, then I sent Moses and Aaron, and I brought terrible plagues in Egypt. And afterward, I brought you out as a free people. But when your ancestors arrived at the Red Sea, the Egyptians chased after you with chariots and charioteers. When your ancestors cried out to the Lord, I put darkness between you and the Egyptians. I brought the sea crashing down on the Egyptians, drowning them. With your very own eyes, you saw what I did. Then you lived in the wilderness for many years. Finally, I brought you into the land of the Amorites on the east side of the Jordan. They fought against you, but I destroyed them before you. I gave you victory over them, and you took possession of their land. Then Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, started a war against Israel. He summoned Balaam, son of Beor, to curse you, but I would not listen to him. Instead, I made Balaam bless you, and so I rescued you from Balak. When you crossed the Jordan River and came to Jericho, the men of Jericho fought against you, as did the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, and Girgashites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. But I gave you victory over them. The Lord just reminding them where they come from and how He has fulfilled His promise, step by step, step by step. He was like relating to them how the promise unfolded. It didn't happen overnight, of course. Likewise with us. No, for this year and in the coming years, it will not happen. The good things, the good plans that the Lord has placed on our hearts and our minds, not be converted to reality overnight. It will take time, of course, but we have to remain. Because there were others that received the promise, but they were not already there when the promise was fulfilled. They were not there anymore because they fell along the way, as they journey towards, the place of more than enough. They just settled there at the place of just enough. And many of us, if you are not going to appreciate what the Lord is doing in our lives, just like them, we will fall by the wayside. We will die in the wilderness, far, far from the promised land. Or maybe we'll just be like Moses. No, we would see the promised land, how beautiful of a land it is, but then we'll just be standing there at the mountain. In life, even in our communities, you'd see that people, clinging, sticking, and really becoming faithful to the cause. But there are also a lot of people, they decided to give up. They decided to stop along the way, because they could not see anymore a better, brighter tomorrow for them, no journeying with us. But then for those who believe, and for those who um, not only but those that are willing to work hard, work smart to make all of these dreams be converted to reality, just like Joshua and Caleb, they get to see the fulfillment of the promise, and it's a wonderful thing. And so the Lord reminded them, hey guys, you've seen, I gave you land you have not worked on, and I gave you towns you did not build, the towns where you are now living. I gave you vineyards and olive groves for food, though you did not plant them. So fear the Lord and serve Him wholeheartedly. Put away forever the idols of your ancestors, worshipped when they lived beyond the Euphrates River in Egypt. Serve the Lord alone. But if you refuse to serve the Lord, then choose this today. Choose this day whom you will serve. Would you prefer the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates? Or will it be the gods of the Amorites in whom and in whose land you now live? But as for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. Yeah, you decide. I've seen how the Lord has been helping us. I have seen and experienced how the Lord ushered us to where we are now. And so if you'd ask me to choose, whom will I serve? The God of our forefathers, Abraham, when he was still there, um, at the pre-covenant, era, when he was still there at the Ur of Chaldees, um, when he was still there at Haran. If you want to serve those gods that our great Lolo Terra and Uncle Nahor and great daddy Abraham, if you still would want those gods, then you follow them. But then the Lord has met up with Abraham. He introduced himself. Moses allowed us to know him more. And I have known him. I have walked with him. I have seen how powerful God is. So me and my household, we will serve the Lord. We will serve the Lord. It's up to you. If you don't serve the Lord, it's up to you. It's your choice. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Yeah, because God has proven Himself many, many times already. All the words that he has spoken came to pass. All the promises that he declared, you know, he fulfilled it. The land was conquered as promised. And so the people replied, "We would never abandon the Lord and serve other gods, for the Lord our God is the one who rescued us and our ancestors from slavery in the land of Egypt. He performed mighty miracles before our very eyes. As we traveled through the wilderness among our enemies, He preserved us. It was the Lord who drove out the Amorites and the other nations living in there in the land. So we too, we will serve the Lord, for He alone is our God." No, I hope we'll have that single um like focus as far as God is concerned. And they have seen it. They could not ignore God in their lives. They could not, just ignore His power to do. They have seen it in their with their own eyes. How the Lord has divided the Red Sea, how the Lord has divided the Jordan River, how He has provided a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night, how the Lord has provided manna and quail, how the Lord has afforded them with safety and protection, how the Lord has made them fruitful and multiply, how the Lord has helped them advance and expand, how the Lord has provided for them. God has been their Jehovah Jireh, yeah, their provider. And so they said, "Oh, we could not find someone better, greater than Him. We will serve the Lord, for He alone is God." And so today, and as we start the day, and as we start this year, and as we start this decade, it's a wonderful thing not to ponder, to contemplate. Indeed, when we look at the story of Joshua, we can say God conquered as promised. And what he said was true. Not one of the good promises of the Lord was unfulfilled. Everything, every promise was fulfilled. And for us today, know whatever promise that you have received from the Lord, keep on believing. God is able. He is always able to fulfill a promise, because with God, nothing is too difficult. Nothing is impossible. All things are possible with God. Just keep on believing. Let's pray and just thank the Lord, everyone. Our